right. Well, welcome to another episode of the BiohackerBlondie Podcast. This is a special one because we're here with Oliver, and you are the founder of Puori, and it's a supplement company, has all these amazing products that have the highest quality. And I'm sure it's been a journey from you started in 2009. We're here now, and a lot is going on in the space of quality and purity. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If you can give a little intro, we met at Eat Ammonia, and I just had to meet you because I was just, products and clean products are everything, and what we're putting in our bodies is so important. And you've done such an amazing job. So thank you so much for coming on, and give a little intro how you got into this space, especially in 2009.
Yeah, and thank you for having me here. It's great to be here in Miami, right? To enjoy a little bit of sun, the winter time here. So,
oh my gosh.
Anyway, I got really excited about like the deficiency in our nutrition when I was like a personal trainer while I was studying. So it like many years ago, probably 25 years ago now at least, I was like starting to really be passionate about like nutrition and wellness and what we are kind of lacking in our diets. And that led me on a path towards like the first like key nutrient I saw that me and my co-founder back then saw was really looked like to be missing in our diet was omega-3 versus omega-6. So was this balance of trying to get enough omega-3 through your diet and not getting too much omega-6 at the same time. This is a long time ago. Now we talk a lot about seed oils and this stuff. So this is very early on. But when we got into it and some of the scientists that we were talking with at the time was like, if you start consuming a supplement, because this is a supplement to your diet, like we were mainly looking to optimize our diets, but when like modern diet shortcomings were coming up, like, do we get enough fish in our diet? Do we get enough fish that's actually wild caught? Do we get enough of these omega-3 from our diet? If we can't, then a supplement might be a solution. So that's why we just started looking at the supplement. And when we started looking at the supplement, there was a few different quality metrics that were interesting at the time. And one was like, people were telling us, if you start consuming this on a daily basis, make sure it's clean, pure, fresh, and has enough omega-3 in it. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's data points. That was kind of our we got to figure those data points out. Who has the cleanest product? That must be by measuring kind of, the fish oil from the absence of certain heavy metals and dioxins and what else found in fish, and oxidation. That's a data point too of how fresh the fish oil is. And when we started asking these questions as a consumer, we couldn't get any answers from any brands.
Wow.
So we were like, that's pretty interesting. People are consuming at the time, still, and that's the supplement industry is a very growing industry, but even back then, omega-3 was a pretty big industry. People were consuming it, all being told that watch out, fish might be polluted, fish can go rancid, but, nobody had the data point to prove that in the supplement. So we felt that's so weird. And we kind of, one thing led to the other. And at some point we were like selling an apartment to see if we could like buy our own batch of fish oil because of how we wanted it and go from there.
Yeah. So, and this is in Denmark?
This is back in Denmark in 2008.
And so you were not looking out like in the US. I don't know if GNC or anything was there. What?
We were looking at American brands.
Okay.
Because we were looking at American brands. Actually, some of the best stuff we found was, through a laboratory in Canada. So we were looking all over the world, basically. At first, we thought we can just find the right product and import it like to Denmark. That was like starting point. And then when we get down that route, we couldn't still find like the data points we were looking for as consumers. So, fast forward to where we are today, we joke about in Puori that we were probably, not tip of the spear, but a little bit of a head of the spear, because we were kind of looking at something that most people really didn't know was an issue.
I know, and so many people still do not know this.
People still don't know they're consuming rancid fish oil, like at home, or they're consuming polluted protein powder, or whatever it is that they're consuming.
Just random products they get at the store or at Costco or something, and not even thinking about this. And people even in like the health fitness space, not much as health, but like more of the fitness space. I've interviewed some random people in Los Angeles, and I was shocked that they weren't even questioning what they're taking.
No, it's...
Especially the fitness industry, too. I know there's like a lot of protein powders with all these additives and fillers and everything. And so there's the quality of protein powders, which we'll get into. So how Was it difficult to do testing initially in 2008, 2009?
We fairly quickly found like International Fish Oil Standards Lab, which at the time was a very small IFOS, which is a certification on fish oil, basically. So it measures against, all the things you do not want in your food supplements and the things you do want, like the active ingredients, the actual EPA, DHA, omega-3 fatty acid content, the oxidation in the oil, and so on. So we found that and said, okay, that must be kind of our gold standard for moving forward. That was one area of the food supplement industry.
Yeah.
When we started looking into other products later on, because we saw different needs, because it came back to what are the things we can actually add to our diet, these basic supplements. And that's what we are focusing on today as well, like trying just to do these like common supplements like uncommonly well and document it with data.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a big thing. I don't know if you've seen the Oasis app,
for sure.
which has been so helpful with water, even all the bottled water, everything. It's kind of like coming out now. No one can really hide from these heavy metals or these things in the products, because now we're starting to do a lot of testing, which is good.
For sure.
And especially like if you have a supplement, you're taking every day. It's not like you're eating some fries once a month or something. You're taking this daily, and it's super important that you're not ingesting heavy metals or something that's oxidized and can be actually damaging.
Exactly. That's very, not what we are trying to do on a biohacking or health journey in general, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not a product like for a fish oil capsule. It's not a product that provides, let's say, saturation or anything else. Like it doesn't keep you full. It is an add-on supplementary diet. It has no fun benefit of swallowing a pill or anything. So it gotta be safe and delivering. Like it needs to have like this, potency, like and the purity at the same time.
So everyone is always asked about omega-3 or fish oil supplements. Is it safe to consume? Does it go rancid after a specific time? Is most fish oil not good? And how do you stabilize it and make sure it doesn't oxidize and cause damage?
So I think it's a very tough question to answer, because it's hard to say if like the products out there are stable or are gone rancid. I think a lot of what's happening with like a product like fish oil, it's so unstable. So like from the first catch of the fish, the first press of the fish, like the capsulation of the actual product and so on. And then the second phase of it, the storage, the transportation, all adds up to that like potential oxidation score, which is measuring something called TOTOX, like total oxidation score, basically. And what that does is, there's so many places this can go wrong for the consumer.
Yeah.
And I think when we look at actually end products, which is like in the cabinets of like Americans, Europeans, like all over the world, I think what we'll see there is the rancidity of a lot of these products are very high. So what we've just seen, we benchmark. So again, with Puori, we always test every single batch of every single product. So there's a data point behind. You can scan a QR code, you can go to the websites, and you can find that data. So you will see, and it's the finished good.
Yeah.
It is, the difference in the industry is most of these certificates are on the raw materials, which is like from a fish oil perspective, the raw material might be great, but what the consumer faces at home, like from an oxidation perspective, could have been standing outside. It could have been, like encapsulated the wrong way. It could have been like so many things can go wrong in that process to increase oxidation, meaning that when you chew your capsule, it's not a refined way of measuring, but you can chew a capsule and say, does it taste like bad fishy? It probably is oxidized. This is not a sure thing, because some brands will add flavors to it, components and so on, that will mask it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not a sure thing. But again, if it's super fishy, even and you can look on the label of what's actually in the product, I would probably not consume it. It's supposed to taste a little bit like fish, but like the aftertaste should disappear. Like when you're like chewing a little piece of food or anything, it should disappear right away. Then you're like it's just like basically eating a fresh fish at a sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
Like if you taste the fish and it's very fishy and it keeps staying fish in your mouth, you would not consume it, right? Like it's like your safety mechanism. You would like, okay, I don't need to eat more of this. This is weird. But like if you taste fish, it tastes a little bit of fish, and then it kind of like that's fresh sushi. So
you're testing it after it's been encapsulated.
yeah, and that's also what IFAS in general is doing, which also tests the oxidation scores. So what they do is, and I say the brands that are on IFAS are generally the high quality brands because you are paying for a certificate that someone else is like testing your product, the end goods, the final container that consumers are having, and they're posting that lab report on their website. So obviously the brands that you find on that site are the good brands. What we go in and measure and say, okay, the IFAS standards I think is, I can't recall the oxidation if it's 20 or 26. That's like the max to pass their high standard. What we would look at, or maybe it's even 16. It might be 16. Anyway, what we would look at is most brands stays in that 12, 10, 12, 14 range of oxidation. We aim at going closer to 6.
Wow.
So like on the finished product. And here you can benchmark apples to apples, but you're only benchmarking the high quality products. So it's really the high end of the spectrum, right? And you're not seeing what people are doing at home. So I think from that perspective, we need this like finished goods testing regimen to really understand.
Yeah, you guys do every testing for each batch, correct?
We sincerely, we do probably go a little over the top. That's really been the DNA of our company now for so many years.
Yeah.
But like we do test for more than 200 different contaminants. It depends a little bit on if it's Clean Label Project that are testing at IFAS, who are testing like different testing platforms out there. But what they will choose is like some pretty wide panels of everything from pesticide residue,
I was looking at the list and I'm like, there's like
that's a lot of stuff.
there's a lot of pesticides.
There's a lot of pesticides, yeah.
I mean, your list of what you guys check is incredible. And it's also scary how many different pesticides there are.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And again, I'm sure there's...
And this is ending up in most, is this something that comes up regularly with other products? I mean, is this something that you would see a lot of these pesticides in supplements or creatine or protein powder?
So where I would say it pops up the most, what we've seen, and it pops up weird places. I'll tell a fun story, or not a fun story, but a story afterwards. Yeah. What we tend to see is like if you look at protein powders, for example, like the non-organic plant-based protein powders, you would probably definitely see some kind of pesticide residue in there. A lot of the brands are trying to go organic also because they know that. So again, looking at the high-end brand, not the average American is consuming, because I'm sure if you go to your local juice store or whatever, where like margins make more sense, they probably won't pick the most expensive third-party tested organic juice. Not all juice stores are the same, for sure. There's different quality, but I'm just saying that in general, like when you see what's available on retail shelves and around the country and so on. So I would say that's definitely one area to pay attention. I would say more so is even what people don't think is that even if they buy organic, that doesn't mean they test for heavy metals.
Yeah.
And what we see is really in these bigger studies that has come out from both Consumer Reports and Clean Label Project is that it's not it's just a few products that has, elevated levels of heavy metals. We're looking at basically half of the industry is above Proposition 65, which is a strict standard set by California. But I still think that, again, when you're consuming a health product
every day
on a daily basis, not like, you're not seeing as much rotation. We want to set strict standards. Like that's our job, right? Like we're trying to make people healthier over time. So it's counterintuitive to not want to set strict standards. That being said, I also know that the industry, I see myself mainly as a consumer. So I think like a consumer, I want to be like, hey, if there's no safe levels of heavy metals, we should go as close to zero as possible, right? But on the flip side, I'm also the industry because I'm manufacturing protein powders and I've been in this game for a long time. So I understand the industry coming to us say, hey, it's crazy that protein powders has to live up to these strict standards, because what about sweet potatoes? What about your apples? What about the rice that you're buying?
I know.
And I think that's actually a very interesting part of the conversation, because I agree with that. I get that frustration. Like, why are we being held to a higher standard? I still think we should be held to that standard, because that makes it. I think there's some other industries, even like in our like food industries, that need to be held to a higher standard when it comes to heavy metals.
Yeah, they're
So-
like gassing bananas and doing these weird things to our food and not telling us. I'm
Yeah, and-
like, why? I don't trust our food system.
It is pretty crazy, I think, when you start looking into some of these things. So I would say again, we're on a journey of improving the overall health for everyone. Like we got to take one step at a time. Right now, we see focus on the protein industry has gotten a lot of attention on this, and I think for good reasons.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will help clean up. We've seen in the past that the brands, they will do everything they can to clean up the supply chain, to get the testing in place, to hopefully move in this direction, though slow. I always joke about like, in 2 or 3 years, everybody have to be doing this. And still, we've been on the transparency promise certificate with Clean Label Project, which means like they literally have to put out every single data point before we can sell it to the consumers. So it's available on a website before we put it up for sale. And we thought when we entered into that conversation with Clean Label Project back in, I think it's 2019, that there will a few years, most of the brands would be going this direction. But today, 2026, we're still the only brand in the category that hold that certification. There's a lot of brands that do clean label certification. That means that like a few percentage of what they're doing are being tested, randomly tested and so on. But again, as we've seen in a category study like the protein powder, it needs to be thoroughly cleaned up, right? And I think that's where, let's say heavy metal testing on protein powders could be a mandate. And speaking right now, actually, there's a new bill proposal in California to make it mandatory for protein products to have heavy metals testing.
Oh, protein powders or protein products?
I think protein products. I can't recall the full, but it's everything from protein bars, protein shakes, protein in that side of the category. So it's still a proposal. So who knows? But we've seen before California push these, stricter initiatives. We've seen it in baby food. We've seen it in prenatal supplements. So it's happening, I think.
Yeah, it's getting there.
It's
We're getting
there.
there.
Yeah.
So do you think people that own these companies and manufacturers, is it the source that is the difficult part, or do they just want to cut corners and make more money?
So I think overall, it's like it is more expensive to have, like when we see that there's an issue with contamination, it's more expensive to promise a product is not contaminated. I don't think anybody has like this is natural accumulation of heavy metals in soil, in food systems and so on. So it's not like this is something that is being put in there on purpose that they can just remove.
Yeah.
Which makes it obviously harder. There's definitely certain things we have done to our planet over time that's now ending up in our like groundwater, in our soil, in the food we eat, right? So I think from this perspective, we need to do it because that's the only way. Like when consumers demand it, brands will go backwards, and the industry will move around. But I don't think the industry is doing it. Intentionally. But I do think now the industry can't say they're not seeing it anymore.
Yeah.
Because we've seen these big studies, and a lot of the big brands has been mentioned in these studies. So I think the industry is doing it. And my guess is everybody's trying to clean up as much as they can because they don't want to. They want to control this as much as they can, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
So it is hard.
So take us back to 2008, 2009, and when you started just with the fish oil. Where were you sourcing, and how did you make sure it's good quality?
I think for everything we do, actually, that comes down to those data points, that we can actually measure quality in the end. So we can, in fish oil, you can measure the actual active ingredients, so the EPA, the DHA, the long-chain fatty acids coming from small fish in the food chain, like small fatty fish like sardines, anchovies, and that. Then there's the absence of all the stuff you don't want. The PCB, dioxins, the heavy metals, all that stuff. You can measure that in your fish oil too and see. And then finally, it's the oxidation. Like, well, how does this product stay stable? If you have those metrics, you can look at it and say, this is actually a damn good product. So you can actually benchmark almost apples to apples and pears to pears. And I think because we focus so much on that, we've been able to use different and go to different manufacturers, go to different fisheries and challenge them because we have these data points. They know they can never hide on the final product because it's shared before it's sold.
And you were doing that back in 2009.
We were taking it like in a less refined way, for sure. But we were taking the raw materials and throwing them to a lab that we were working with, so that we could see the data points we got from them. Because what we've seen over the course of these many years now, after we've expanded across Europe and US, is with sourcing raw ingredients, we cannot solely trust the data points we get from the raw ingredient providers themselves.
Yeah.
Because labs are different. There's a lot of different variations. So we sent everything, all new ingredients, raw ingredients, to the lab that we've been working with. So we know within our own reference range of how good the quality is.
Is that something expensive? And is that something expensive to be testing every batch?
Sure. Like if you ask our financial department and so on, they're like, that's goddamn expensive. We're like, there's a lot of money here. But if you ask me from a purpose trip, like it's a very little part of what we are spending total. If you look at it as brands in general, towards creating this trust and transparency that consumers demand. I think from that,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a.
Especially it's catching up now. I feel like a lot of brands now are saying, oh, we need to do this, because I don't think people were even aware of all the contaminants in protein powders or anything. So now people are becoming very aware of this. And so it's very crucial now as a company to make sure that your products are the cleanest of the cleanest.
Just like there's the components of like delivering results for you, like the active ingredients, the powerful nutrients or whatever you're sourcing, and then not delivering any side effects, as you say. These are products, and I'm sure that your listeners and people out there, if you look in your cabinets and you have like a favorite, let's say protein powder or fish oil or collagen or something you're consuming a lot of scoops, a lot of powder on a daily basis over a long time. I use myself as an example. If our fish oil was rancid, or it had been like heavy metal polluted, or had dioxins or any other kind of things in unwanted substances, I've been taking this product for 15 plus years, right? So I would be polluting myself.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's a lot of consumers out there who is like looking at things that we're doing on a daily basis. Like, I always start with the big ones. What are the water you're drinking, the thing you're putting on your body, the thing you're consuming daily, the supplement? Those are the areas to start. But also like look into if you're consuming, sweet potatoes, rice, dark chocolate at night. These are areas of heavy metal contamination as well.
It's true. And I mean, I don't really trust our food system. I'm trying to find farmers of regenerative farming now, and mostly trying to eat that, because they're doing some weird things, I feel like, in our food system. And if you go to a typical grocery store, I don't even trust organic right now.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough being a consumer these days. But I do think that there's a lot of brands out there trying to, go the right way. I think there's a lot of movement in this direction now. In the US as well, like trying to push for like cleaner alternatives. So I'm a positive person, so I believe in the positive way of changing things.
Yeah, I'm hoping also the fitness industry. I feel like protein powders and creatine, all these things, and I see so many fitness influencers promote these products that I'm just shocked. It just has the craziest ingredients in their protein and creatine and all these flavors and I don't know, cookies, and I'm like, what is this? Like, your protein powder is so clean, minimal ingredients, and that's what we should be consuming. We shouldn't be consuming all these weird natural flavors and these sugars that disrupt the gut and all these things. And your protein powder just has coconut sugar, organic, and it's super important for people to know. Do not just go buy some random, fitness protein powder. It's just, you need clean ingredients.
Again, the serving size matters, right? So when you are consuming like a serving of 20 grams of protein, which I think for most of us out there, myself included and my family included, like it is super convenient.
Yeah.
It is hard to meet, let's say, certain protein goals that you're having and getting enough of the high quality amino acids that are in some of these protein powders. So it is convenient. But when you are picking that, like, again, that's where I would invest a little bit more to make sure I got like that high quality product.
Yeah. And from your sourcing perspective, coming from Denmark, did you source most from Europe? Like, I even know like the founder of Beekeepers Natural, she does all of her honey and ingredients in Europe because she knows that she was trying here, but it would always be with glyphosate. And so a lot of protein, good quality protein powders will source from Europe. Is this something that you do as well?
We source across. So I would say
Okay.
we source both in the US and in Europe. I think, again, back to when we have this, like, we can take our own lab reports and really run through and see what it is. We feel we can source from whatever makes most sense and has the highest quality.
Okay.
Like there's no need for us to say, okay, we got to take everything out of Denmark. We got to take everything out of Canada, US, and New Zealand, or what it is. Mainly those markets that we are sourcing from. But I would love to be able to source as close to where I'm selling as possible. Like, so if you are building a global brand, I would love to be able to source as close to possible everything you're doing for various reasons, right? But again, that comes back to that, we have the documentation on every single ingredient so we can see basically where we're sourcing from. And unfortunately, sometimes you do need to source further away if you want to make sure that, let's say, you have a honey product and you want it free from glyphosate, right?
Have you ever had a product and at the end it said, okay, you have high glyphosate levels or some type of contaminants, and then you had to throw it out?
Yes. We've and again, that's back
Really?
to the expensiveness of this. When you make a promise like we do to our consumers and we live up to these extremely strict, like way beyond regulatory limits, even in Europe and Denmark where regulatory are much stricter, we've set certain limits that sometimes have cost us a lot of money as well. And that can be like our cacao protein powder. We've seen, having cacao is an ingredient, again, that's good at like removing cadmium and lead from the soil. And, again, basically how we've treated the planet over time has caused this to enter our food chain. So I think that has been a hard one. We've had several products we had to discontinue.
Like what?
We had a greens product.
Greens. Okay, that's a big product that everyone's promoting out
Big
there.
conversation and big product. And I, personally, I would love to see more testing in those categories as well, because we saw how hard it was to source that from a heavy metal perspective. If you're picking only organic ingredients, which we were at the time, still it was like the heavy metals were, we couldn't do it on a consistency basis. So we would have too much risk and nobody would, live up to Proposition 65 for us. So that was one thing. We've seen a carb product we had a lot of CrossFit community and like endurance athletes and different people that were taking our product, and they were requesting us a carbohydrate product.
Oh, okay.
Based on sweet potatoes. It was a really cool product, by the way.
Interesting.
But we couldn't continue to source clean sweet potatoes. So
Why? Heavy metals?
heavy metals as well. So we had to discontinue that product.
What heavy metals were you finding? I'm curious.
I would actually not I can't recall that
Yeah,
myself right now. So I don't want to say something that's not right. But like we were seeing that, we marked out several ingredients, I would say, is in a high risk. We had a vegan protein powder that was also based on rice protein and so on. Rice, it was the arsenic that we keep seeing we couldn't get. So that was discontinued.
How about pea protein?
We have a pea protein now.
Yeah.
And we've managed to keep that. We have a initial safety check in balance. So even if we get peas from the same from the same farm, and that is like it's part of the same batch, but we're blending it up again, we test the raw material before we do anything with it. So we can say yes or no, because we've seen that the same batch, the first batch we had was like below Proposition 65. Again, very strict standards for plant proteins, but it was what we wanted to be. And the second we got some peas back, we saw it was above. So we were like, we have to find a way to really make sure we test this. So that's again in what we call our high risk products.
And you you have more and more products. Has this become more expensive or more difficult to be adding more products and doing all this testing?
I think it's yeah, yes. I would sure if you ask our product team and supply chain team, they're spending a lot of time and effort on this. Like there's several people just spending their full time on all these reports and all the studies. And it's not even our labs, right? So a lab work is outsourced, obviously, to accredited labs. So I think we don't have that many products. So we've also so it's like if you look at, especially from our footprint in Europe and on being in retail stores and so on, there's one fish oil product, there's one magnesium. A lot of the brands will end up expanding wider in the category for it to make more sense to be in these retail channels. I think for us, it's about covering our consumers' demand. And one of the most powerful things we do is every quarter we send out a survey to our customers. And we get thousands of people that reply us back every single time.
Oh, wow.
So it's long surveys, but they give us so much information on what are the pain points. If they are a healthy mom looking for X product, then we look if that's something we should put into our portfolio. So, and that's how many of like creatine was created for us. It's like our B vitamin complex was created for it. Our consumers were curious, they were cautious, they were concerned, and they asked us a lot of questions, and that gave us, okay, there must be a route for us to say if we can provide our trust and transparency to some of these products, they can fit into our portfolio.
Interesting. So you guys test for so many things. I am like shocked at all this, like the heavy metals and glyphosate. It's just like the BPAs, and it's honestly shocking to me how much there is in these that can be found in these products. When you started in 2008, when did you get into other products of like from fish oil to protein powder and all these other things?
Protein powder came a little later, I would say, down, but it really came back to what are like the core foundational products to improve health and longevity for most people, like based on macro data. It was like omega-3, vitamin D, magnesium, like these were like top of our list. So that's really where we started to spend a lot of time on, figuring out how to deliver them in a high quality, simple ingredients and transparent. So it was first a little later we got into proteins and collagens.
Okay. And you've been taking fish oil since 2008?
And I've been doing a lot of blood work as well.
Did you test your omegas back in 2008, your omega-3, omega-6 ratios?
No, not when I got started. I
Okay.
didn't, because that was still a little bit of like a early stage of testing, and getting the right test is also really important, because there's like two different types of testing. And what you really want is like the omega-3 index, which is basically the red blood cell that will show you a much longer duration of what is actually in your body, and not just, let's say you had a lot of salmon and sardines yesterday or 2 days ago, you will see that spike up on other testing. So getting the right type of test with measure that will give you a better, long-term view of your omega-3 index, which is important. So I think we've done that later on and done more of that testing later on. We did play around with it. We actually had a test ourselves. We worked with a laboratory to create like a home blood spot test, but it was not our focus area. It's like, and as an entrepreneur yourself and knowing, building things, it looked great on paper, but it was horrible, right? So
Testing's like a whole nother level. I don't think people realize.
And it's the future of supplementation anyway.
Yeah,
I think
know.
for all the things where we can actually get real data points, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, take this product, take this product, take this product. A lot of that is based on your individual needs. And I think, coming back to a different side of the story, is like foods and how you're living is way more important than the supplements you're taking. That being said, there's definitely certain supplements that are hard to get from diet, that are harder to get in, and where you see benefits of adding them, and definitely omega-3 is one of them. And omega-3 index also from a longevity perspective is
the brain, everything.
So interesting.
I beautiful skin.
We talk everything, right? Yeah, we talk about the foundation. And if you look at the biohacking community now, I see there's a lot of new stuff coming out, which is exciting. And I think we will learn a lot over the next many years, and we'll be able to add more cool things to the different toolboxes. But if you go back, I don't think you find anything as powerful on a longevity perspective as omega-3s.
Wow.
So some of these studies, what we've seen is when people are looking at it, like Bill Harris, Rhonda Patrick, are looking at these studies on the omega-3 index. If you take a person from a 4% omega-3 index to an 8%, that's equivalent on these studies of about 5 years of longevity. Like 5 years of lifespan, it looks like, if you have optimal levels of omega-3. 80% of the population is probably below.
It's insane.
It's a lot. It's a lot. A lot of people are not getting enough, mainly because of diet, But so supplementation definitely has a rule, but an opportunity. But I think food first, right? Like most people don't eat sardines and for breakfast, or mackerel, herring. They eat
Everyone's
salmon maybe
eating
now and then, or
omega-6 seed oils. It's like that's most of their diet, and then their ratio is out of control.
they get more pro-inflammatory,
And
right?
yeah, it's a big issue for people. And
So that's why fixing the basics, like something like omega-3, is so powerful for most people. And you can get a decent blood test to measure your omega-3 index.
Yeah.
So like that will really help you.
yeah. So you've been taking this every day?
Pretty much every day, yeah. Larger
Since
doses, smaller doses.
2009?
Yes, yeah.
And do you test your levels?
I test my levels.
Are they
like,
still balanced, or you have like high omega-3s?
no, I'm definitely on the high side.
Okay.
But I would say the functional doctor I've been working with says you're like probably more on what he will call the optimal. So one is like being in, let's say the average, or where you want to, as the minimal, not the minimal. There's a word that's probably better describing it, but at like a decent level. But he would say you're definitely on the optimal side. The same goes for something like vitamin D that you can measure. There's like adequate, that's my word, adequate, and there's optimal.
Yeah.
And we see some benefits of reaching certain levels. That being said, you do not want to take too much either.
I know. I've had actually high vitamin D before.
Interesting, right? So that's back to like testing is the future.
It really is. And everyone's playing the guessing game right now. And I'm like, please just go do Function Health. It's like a few $100s, over 100 biomarkers, and it can save your life. And also like for supplementation, for me, like I could be low in iodine for 6 months. I didn't know. And that could be disrupting my hormones and disrupting my thyroid. And I'm like, instead of guessing, it's just like you can do a quick test for these things.
That's the future.
And that should be how you supplement.
Yeah.
And like Whole Foods is where you should start.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Like there's no way around it. So.
I know, because I'm like, everyone is, they just had that Expo West of all this processed food and everything. And I'm like, can we just go back to Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Like there's, I understand the industry and, getting new products out there, but I just want to make like Whole Foods, like,
I get it. Yeah.
popular again, because like sardines, I'm just like, you can't ever get, even from supplementation, which I take a lot of supplements, but there's just nothing more nutrient dense than Whole Foods. You're getting the fiber, you're getting the water content, you're getting all the minerals and the vitamins. And so it's just, there's a lot of these processed packaged foods, even healthy packaged foods, you're not getting the whole process of it. It's still processed. And so
I agree. And then I really do agree. And I think, the underrated power of like sardines as a superfood, or
oh my gosh,
herring.
I love sardines now. Do you have just quick question, this is off topic, but do you have any favorite sardines?
I don't say I have the favorite U.S. sardine brand, but I would say something to like the Danish heritage is that we actually see, we've had a heritage of eating a lot of herring. And I always get, when we have like Americans coming over to visit us in Denmark and so on, we take them out to have herring for lunch. It's like a classic Danish lunch, and it is like a reasonable priced, powerful superfood basically that you're having, right? Like in various fermented ways. Some would say it's interesting, and fair, it is a little interesting, but it is super powerful, and it's just like how we were meant to survive, right? Back then when we were just fishing and getting what we have access to.
What is your typical, so what do you take daily? I'm curious. I know you have the whey protein and then you have the pea protein. Are you whey or pea?
I'm definitely a pea protein.
You are?
Sorry. I'm definitely a whey protein. I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm definitely a whey protein person, and also mix collagen into it as well.
Okay, so you do that daily.
Yeah.
And then what are your other, you have the magnesium, the vitamin D, you just kind of take those with your...
Yeah, I'm biased. Let me start by saying that I'm definitely biased. But I do take the omega-3s, and I've seen that like measure out in my omega-3 index. I take vitamin D, also seen that in my measures. I take magnesium at night. I take creatine, Also, like I take a larger dose as well than the recommended 5 grams. Not recommending people to do that, but I had a concussion. I had multiple concussions, and it was one of kind of the tools that I was like working with. I do take B vitamins. I cycle that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I regularly get creatine, collagen, protein, and omega-3, D vitamin, and magnesium. Definitely biased of what I'm doing, but but those are staples in a daily basis. It might vary a little bit on how much I'm taking. If I'm jet lag, I might take more or less. If I'm traveling, if I'm eating out, I might adjust my intake of the different ones. But that's the foundation for me. Then I will like cycle different like probiotics and food like that. I also try to eat a lot of probiotic food. And I would try to reach my, protein goal pretty strict. Like I'm paying a lot of attention to that because I'm like by definition fairly skinny, so I have harder time keeping muscle on. So I would really need to make sure I hit my protein. And I can see when I move, obviously, which is so critical, like, and I strength train and I get enough protein and creatine, I can keep or even build muscle mass. But if I start like just going a little slow on that, my healthy skeletal muscle will just slowly decline.
Interesting. So you're doing the protein powder with the creatine, and then are you doing meat or more fish or?
I'm doing it. Yeah, like I would be very
Balanced.
balanced. Yeah, very varied. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like some people go to these
One,
extremes.
I love constantly varied part of diet as
Yeah,
well.
I think
I
the Whole
do.
Foods diet.
But I
is-
count. So I do count, like how many grams have I gotten of this today. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
definitely
Pretty
and I
in
write
tune.
that down at night.
Oh, wow.
So when I journal of my day, basically, I tend to also like look at how many grams of protein did I get? What did I get it from? Is there any opportunities for doing something better tomorrow? Like if I stepped off my plan a little bit.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about collagen because I get a lot of questions. People message me, do you think collagen really works? I love collagen. I feel like for me, I don't know if it's a specific source or how that's processed. But I've been taking collagen for a while and I did take a few months off. I felt like I could tell with my nails and a few things. So just for anyone listening, do you think collagen really works?
I do think it does. Like a grass-fed collagen, high quality, collagen peptide. I do think it plays an important role. I think for me personally, very anecdotal as well. I feel it a lot in my joints and tendons and so on. So I have to take more care of that part. I can feel when I'm like strength training or doing like, changing direction, playing with my kids and playing soccer suddenly at a different pace. I feel that that's something I gotta like pay attention to. I don't get enough like bone broth, foods. I think it's one of the harder things, even though I try to buy it and create fun shakes at home with it or use it in food. But I definitely see something like that. And then I've heard a lot, and we get a lot of feedback on people that feels it on their gut lining. Basically, they take the larger dose from a longevity perspective for that purpose. I haven't seen any kind of data points on myself in it, but I think there's definitely some interesting things to be said. And it is like by mixing a whey protein and a collagen, you get a very complete amino acid profile because you get all the different types of amino acids, essential and non-essential amino acids that will help build everything from ligaments and joints and skin, but also muscle and tissue and so on. So I think, those two combined are a powerful snack that you can easily get in for most people's diets, whether you are, a healthy mom or an athlete or anything in between. It's an easy add-on compared to how hard it is to like make a bone broth necessarily and, getting all the amino acids that way.
And you guys, I don't believe you have a beef protein powder.
We don't.
Why is that?
First, I don't think that's one component is taste. It's a little harder. The ones that we've tried has always been more beefy in the taste. So I think the taste is one thing. The second part is the ones that I've seen on the amino acid balance are not as rich in leucine as whey protein. And I think it comes closer to a collagen. So again, I would much rather take a collagen and mix into my whey and then have a very complete amino acid profile than having a beef protein on the side. The main reason should be if you don't tolerate the whey, which we tend to see, and again, very anecdotal, but we tend to see most people do when they get a high quality one.
That's what I was going to ask, because I think a lot of people think they're allergic to whey protein, and it's just the quality.
Even the lactose and so on. We've seen that and we've heard that again and again, but we've had so many people write us say they've tried everything and they try and it's like they don't feel it anymore.
That's what I tell people.
So,
I'm like,
was it all the other weird stuff that was in that protein powder at the same time? Was it the quality of where does that come from? So I think you should listen to your body.
Yeah.
Like everybody, we should feel what's working for us. Get measured when you can, when there's actual data points and it's not too expensive. But otherwise, listen, see what's working. I think I found a routine that's working for me. But I look forward to getting, almost real-time data on what's going on, right?
Yeah.
The future.
What is your take on protein bars? You guys don't have a protein bar.
No.
Do you not like
I don't eat many protein bars, to be honest. So, and every time I look at the protein bars when I'm come around and I look at the ingredient, I'm like, and I end up, okay, I can find my way around this. I think that being said, I'm sure there might be a good protein bar out there, but I feel like most of the protein bars out there are still closer to a candy bar in some shape or form.
I think so too. And it's, I understand if you're traveling or something,
Totally.
If you need to get some protein or something.
It's hard to travel with your sardines. I do.
I just posted that. I know.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
I just had a box of 50 cans of sardines delivered. And then I said, this is great for if you're at the airport, because it's
people love you and hate you at the same time there. You're opening your sardines. But I travel with that as well for long.
It's good protein, good fats, everything. And I'd rather do that than eat something like a protein bar that's I can eat that in 2 bites. It's 200 something calories. I'm getting maybe 10, 15 grams of protein. And I'm like, this isn't that much.
No.
And then you have these sugars and these other additives where I'm just like, this doesn't really make any sense for me. So there's healthier alternatives like jerky or some other things that I would rather consume than a protein bar. And I think it's become out of control with these protein bars. And then at Expo West, everyone was saying that everything had protein in it. It was the whole thing was protein.
Protein enriched everything.
Protein popcorn, protein
everything. Yeah.
There was a meme. It was protein cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But every year there's a theme at the expo, and protein definitely made it this year. Yeah.
I think the new thing they're saying is fiber. This is I don't know if you've ever looked into this, but there's now, I feel like people and companies are going to start promoting fiber supplements and fiber products. Is this something you guys are looking into?
So I do say we're very aware of fiber. It has been not less as, but we've had our symbiotic, which is 2 different strains of very well documented strains of probiotics, but it's basically a fiber stick. So we have a stick product which has 4.5 grams of fiber from 3 different types of fibers in it. So
nice.
it's very much like a prebiotic, like a fiber stick almost. So we definitely we do see the value of a fiber-rich diet as well. But again, coming from mainly your diets, whole foods, right? Yeah, exactly.
Get those veggies in too.
Exactly.
Just a very balanced diet. So tell us your typical day. You've been in the health industry, obviously, since 2008, 2009, and even before with your training. What is it called? What was I
had a gym, like a CrossFit gym. I've been in training since I was and out of my teenage
Are you doing
age.
all the testing too, the longevity testing?
I've done a few of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you gone into stem cells or exosomes or anything?
I haven't done that yet. No. No. I'm looking forward to investigate that area further. Yeah.
So, what is your typical day, and how do you keep your health going?
So I have I'll say I have 2 different days. I have a day where I'm at home and with my family. I have 3 kids as well. That looks slightly different, but then I have my if I'm by myself or traveling. So the 2 sides of the day. So when I'm at home, I would walk outside kind of before everybody gets up. I would walk around my garden. I might drink a cup of coffee right away, and then I would prior to that I would have had a big glass of water, sometimes with lemon or salt or electrolytes in them, different trace minerals or different things in them, Then I would like move a little bit, and then I would wake up the kids and have breakfast with them, and I would go to work. From there, I would work out sometime either late or, midday or early. That can vary quite a lot, actually. We also work out quite a lot at our office space, so
Nice.
people work out together or do different things.
Nice.
And then I would do a lot of different things at night after I've put the kids to bed to kind of ground myself. It could be I go to the infrared sauna, I read, I'm on a PEMF mat, or I stretch. I would always, my relaxed time, I would always be stacking up some healthy biohacking habits on top.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm doing something for myself after the kids have gone to sleep. And then I try to go to
Compounding.
bed and get enough sleep, basically.
I know sleep
So
is
sleep is super important.
super important. I'm like, I don't know if you track your sleep, but
It
this
been-
has been a game
yeah,
changer for me
for sure.
because it's kept me accountable. I feel like I haven't been probably sleeping as long as I thought I was
No.
for my whole life. So now I'm like, I only slept 6 hours. I need to go back to bed.
And seeing the signals of like what impacted my sleep.
I know.
Like there's so many things I learned out of that will improve my habits around sleep. So I get
and even
more deep
supplements
sleep.
or
Even
these
supplements,
things
yeah.
and peptides too and all this, they all affect your sleep and the timing and everything. And now I only drink caffeine, in the morning, which is a big one because that affects your sleep, especially if you have certain genes that it might take longer to process. It can keep you up at night. And I'm like,
It's
all these little things.
there's a lot of good little things that you can learn out of that. So I try to use that as part of like my, let's say, technological, writing a notes on how I'm feeling and what's working, and then like looking at different like blood work data, like
Yeah.
aura data,
Yeah.
whatever data I can get, and kind of, synthesize something that works for me, right? But
Yeah, I think the future of longevity and health will be personalization and all these biomarker testing and on daily, if we have deficiencies or any of these
We can
things,
adjust
it's
that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
and then finding a routine that works in your life.
Yeah.
Because you still got to be a present,
Kids and
exactly.
traveling and all this.
employees and teams and
Yeah.
all the things, families and so on you want and friends. So I think that's why I think one of the most powerful tools is still like keeping a journal at night
Mm-hmm.
and making sure you have like the list of the things that are most important to you in your life
Yeah,
in
that's
that
good.
journal. So you reflect on that every day. So you have, every day is not perfect and
Mm-hmm.
it will be far from, especially the more things you have you want to do. But the next day is an opportunity for doing a few more things. And if you kind of can steer yourself in the right direction every day, you're kind of coming a little bit off course and you have a course, you will do a lot of good things with your life. That's my belief.
That's a good hack. I'm going to do that because I think a lot of the times you just go and never really take a step back and say, why am I doing this? Is this working? Should I be doing this for myself, my health, or, so it's very, very important to kind of look at your day and,
For sure.
and adjust it. What is the future of Puori?
I think we keep, and it feels like that future is coming closer to us. We keep pushing for more transparency in the industry and for some regulations around the areas where it's needed the most. It could be like we talked about earlier, the protein industry, and like I'm really excited about being able to do more of that stuff and being able to again provide more trust and transparency for our consumers. And maybe, there's another product that they want in our portfolio that they're looking for, our current customers, and we can help them with that. So I think that's kind of how we evolve slowly, but, just again, focusing on doing these common supplements at like an uncommonly high quality and having that consistency again and again and again so that we create this trust with our consumers. That's our key goal.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can go on the website, you can see all the testing. And then I don't know if we mentioned this, but the QR code on every
Single batch
product shows, and it's recent too, because I don't know if we mentioned this, but a lot of companies might have the testing, but it can be old.
It for sure. And if I'm seeing how many how many batches we've done of protein within the last, let's say, I think if you go to a website, there's a Clean Label Project website, and you see all the different batches that we have in market, and I think we're getting closer to 100 batches
Wow.
within the last like less than 24 months.
Wow.
So it's a lot of data if you want. So they
from different manufacturers and other.
it's
'cause you don't.
it's
do you
mainly the
just have-
same manufacturers. There might be
Okay.
a few different that we're working with, but it's like, we only can get X amount of raw ingredient when we build up a batch, right?
Yeah.
So like that batch might last for, let's say, a month. So we need to build the next batch, and we do that with another raw ingredient. And it's new cacao we are getting. Like it's never the exact same. It's
Yeah.
natural ingredients.
Yeah.
It should taste variate a little bit because it's natural ingredients. It should be a little bit, like that. But that's why there's a lot of testing if you want to test every single batch of the finished goods in the actual batch that you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this sold everywhere in Denmark and the U.S.? Where else is this sold?
We sold in many countries in Europe, and we sold in U.S. And I think what we've seen is there's definitely some of the larger platforms that sells across borders as well, also further, to like Australia and different. But we've focused on Europe and U.S. That's been our main focus.
Canada?
Not so much Canada. Canada also have a different set of regulation and
Yeah.
registration process and so on, which again makes it slightly more complicated when you're a smaller company. I think there's definitely demand, and there's definitely a few of the platforms that we work with that sell into Canada. But I think, for now we still want to be more present with the American market and in the European market than expanding
Spreading,
to too many geographics. Yeah.
Okay, so everyone can go find, if they want to buy these products, Puori.
Puori.com
Okay.
is the number one place to go, I would say.
Okay.
And we do have like warehouses across different areas, so you can see it should be fairly easy to find out where you are located and pick the right location. It also gives you, like you get into the universe, you get like their emails, you kind of get a little bit deeper education on the products and so on when you start to onboard and buy the products and understand where the things are coming from. Why are we seeing this? And, if there's something else you want to be part of, changing and pushing, we love to get people's feedback. And we really use that for how we kind of address the next challenge we want to take on.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was so great to have you on,
Fun to
taking
be
the
here.
time out of your day while here in Miami. So I really appreciate it. And this is such great information. So thank
Likewise.
you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.